Howdy, partner. The name's Isla. Sheriff. Isla to you, that is. This here is my deputy, Officer Faye. Don't mind her stare. She can't see all that well in the sun. Say, friend, you haven't seen this woman, have you? Dirty Pinkerton trash. About yay tall? No? Alright then. We'll keep looking for her, and the justice that we deserve. Very well then, I suppose you'll be looking for work, huh? Lucky for you, we just so happen to be expanding our coal mine. Yes, sir, indeed. 4 additional quarry sites are about to be built, damn near doubling our output. Which means we'll be bringing more coal into our storage facilities that will be traded to bring more money into our town, increasing our industry so much more, expanding our city, and making it quite the place for everyone. All this in preparation for the vast expansion of our railroad network pretty soon, where we're going to be connecting with cities far and wide, cities that we can do a lot of trading with. Speaking of which, our field of chemroot has been ignited by some lightning, and I think we're gonna have to start trading to get some more chem fuel. You see, I have some pretty big plans this episode that require a lot of chem fuel. We're going to begin doing some research into explosive crates, whereas previously we have been purchasing explosive crates to help us with building our railroads, blasting through mountains, tunneling through them, that sort of thing. This episode we are going to research and be building our very own, not exactly for railroading though. Since we are looking for the dirty Pinkerton known as Mees, we're also going to need some proper grape shot for our 4-pounder cannons. Whenever we encounter some Pinkerton scum, we want to be ready with explosives and proper munitions. I'd like to reiterate, because I only said it at the beginning of this series, but I've never played with Combat Extended until this series, so I wasn't very familiar with grape shot and what have you, but I think a proper test is in order for it. Oh, alright then. I suppose that worked pretty good. Although it would be better against a group of enemies because it spreads out. An elephant was a good target, I guess. Let's put her out of her misery. Sorry about that, old girl, but at least you'll be on our plate tonight. Grape shot has been acquired, and we are going to continue manufacturing more and more grape shot shells. And as we're doing that, we're also working on the extensive research into the highly explosive crates, which we plan on using as well. These two things together, I think we'll be able to get through any Pinkerton wall or fortification. But the problem right now is we don't know where to find Mees, as we're still on the lookout, using our eyes and ears as well as our tribal allies. Though finding the filthy Pinkerton scum is a top priority at the moment, we are sure to keep the rest of the town running as always, serving many a visitor and traveler who is just passing through or even stopping in to contractually work at our mines for a while. With all the folks looking to do a bit of coal mining for themselves, Nelly, as well as the city, was making a decent profit off all the pickaxes and other tools we were selling. Which reminds me, we have a proper name for our company store, with that being Nelly's Necessities. With this wonderful name suggestion coming from our friend the Shelled Bee. So a massive thank you to you as well as everyone who suggested names for the company store. Speaking of the store once more though, the money that we had made selling off many a pickaxe and other tool, we don't have any storage space for it. This is a problem that I think anyone would love to have, not having enough room for all your money, but it is still an issue nonetheless. And how do we plan to remedy this issue? Well, we are going to be building a bank, the City Bank of Rattlesnake Ranch, or just Rattlesnake Ranch Bank, for short, I guess. We're actually going to be mining out a little portion of the mountain here, as I think that that is the best way to secure and keep all of our silver, gold, and jade as safe as possible. We'll be storing all of our funds within some great big wooden crates, as well as 4 steel safes for the most important items like gold that are a bit more rare, as well as any legendary items that we might want to put in there in the very near future perhaps. but I think that these are going to be great as they offer the most in terms of our storage capacity. And so we shouldn't have any more issues, or at least not within the near future, of running out of storage room for all of our money. Which is also wonderful news because we've been mining the absolute shit out of coal and we have a lot in storage ready to be sold, making us even more money, of course. Sometime later, we finally finished our extensive research into explosive crates. Not your average dynamite, but a compacted box ready to go boom at a moment's notice. A little bit more time after that, we finally had our chem root grown once more, ready to be harvested and immediately used to make these explosive crates. Using up what we just harvested, as well as what little bit we still had in reserve, we ended up making 15 of these large boom crates in total. Sure, we won't be able to fuel our lamps for a little while, but I think it'll be well worth it. Don't you, Deputy? Yep, that's what I was thinking too. Now all we gotta do is find her. Until then, I suppose we could do a bit of trading with our tribal allies. Hell, they might even have the location of this dirty Pinky as well. We would end up sending Nellie to ask about this information as well as trade negotiations, since her mother is a member of the tribe and she has the highest social skill out of everyone in town. They would end up buying every single coal chunk that we had in storage. Not only would they use it to keep their campfires much hotter than your average wood, but with those campfires they've been smithing some better weaponry, word has it. Just as well, they also like to use it for mixture for their war paint. We sold them our coal in exchange for a great big beautiful stallion and vast sums of silver. Now look, as much as I love our donkeys, I think a good stallion or two could do us well, especially for the places that we're going. We need a critter that's much faster than a donkey. You never know when you might have to outrun a storm of bullets. Now we can't ride this handsome fella into battle without a proper name, so I've decided to name him Romeo, which is actually a great suggestion from our friend Steel Star Trekking. Originally, it seems this name was meant for our emu, but I like it better for our horse. I think it's much more fitting. I hope that's alright. Now, as we were putting up the stallion and giving him a proper name, Nellie was communicating with the trader's chief here, and apparently they do know the exact location of a Pinkerton outpost to the north, the nearest to us in these lands. If Mees is gonna be anywhere, it'll be there. Better pack a coat. Looks like it's quite cold up north. We had better pack a lot of food too. Looks like it's going to be quite the journey. Just over about half a month. Well, Deputy, we have quite the mission to undertake, but we won't be going in alone. Along with us, we'll be taking Gao, Slick, Golf, and Fleeb. And together, we're gonna bring that bitch to justice. Though, knowing the location is only about a half of the battle, if that. We still need to load all of our explosives up onto our ox carts and our wagons. Unfortunately, this is not a distance that our train can travel, as we haven't built any tracks that way, or even remotely that close to that area. But that's completely fine, because the more time we take, the more time we have to perform a few necessary medical procedures on some folks like Gao and Slick here. As you might remember, as I don't exactly remember when this was, but Gao had lost his left hand, now replaced by an artificial one, and Slick her left leg, also replaced by an artificial one. Not quite as good as like a Parisian or mechanical ones, but they'll be good enough to get them going again and shooting a bit better. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say they also lost these limbs in the battle against the Pinkertons where we lost our previous sheriff. But I could be wrong. Perhaps you guys could help jog my memory. Now, not to worry, since Mees is a wanted criminal, we'll be deputizing all of those who are coming with us. That way it's completely legal. We just want to make sure we're doing these surgeries, that way our deputies are always fighting at the best of their ability out there too. Missing hands and legs won't do us any justice when, not if, but when we're pinned down by Pinkerton bullets. Initially, I wanted to take our most recent tribal townsfolk who had joined us since they're fierce warriors. However, I think having Gao, Slick, Golf, and the others come for this mission would mean much more to us, and ultimately to Dale. Justice should be blind, but those who deliver it can still have vengeful hearts when issuing the punishment. And with that, my friends, our little squad of vengeful souls are ready to make the long journey to the north. After a brief approval from the mayor, it was time for us to depart. On this journey, not only will we be taking all of the large explosives that we've recently created, but we'll also be taking 2 cannons loaded with grape shot and a Gatling gun. Just as well, we're also going to be riding all of our donkeys, 2 ox carts, and a horse-drawn wagon, as well as our beautiful stallion Romeo. Based on the information provided to us, it seems that this isn't just some type of small base. This is a fortified outpost of the Pinkertons in the northern mountains. I just hope that everything we're taking along with us will be enough. But I suppose we'll be finding out within the next few weeks to come. In the meantime, back home, we are going to continue expanding our industry and, most importantly, improving our town. The first of these improvements is at our butcher shop. No longer will we just be slaughtering our livestock and any wild game that we hunt and storing food here, but now, thanks to our tribal stove, a bit of a rudimentary cooking facility, we're also going to be cooking our meals here and even dining here on occasion. You see, up until this point, yes, this far into the series, we've still been cooking on our open campfires. Now, this is pretty efficient for the most part, of course, although people do tend to prefer to be inside most of the time, so that is why we are now cooking inside. And just as well, this proper oven gives us access to new and different types of food that I think our townsfolk will love. I also noticed that a lot of our newer members are camping out. They're sleeping in tents and things like that, and there's nothing wrong with that inherently, but of course, most people do prefer to have their own bedrooms, as we well know. So we are going to be building some more worker housing, paid for and commissioned by the mining company, of course. Some fairly comfortable beds and decent dwellings are truly the least that we can do for our hearty little coal miners. Speaking of which, the next expansion is going to be to our industrial section under the mountain. We are going to be adding in new areas to build new quarries, further improving our production and increasing it, of course. And while we're in here, we would also find many a vein of steel ore that we would start mining as well to use to our advantage throughout the city and so on and so on. But a few weeks have passed by this point, and as we've been improving the town, it would seem that our little party of heroes is just about to arrive at the Pinkerton fortification. Well, they weren't lying. This place really is well fortified. Even from a distance, we could see all their silhouettes moving around. There are a lot of Pinkertons in there. All right, everyone. Zip up. You don't want to catch a cold while you're fighting. As with all grand attacks, ours will be taking place in the dead of night. Or, well, hopefully, we're going to be getting it set up in the dead of night. I'm going to leave our donkeys back here, as I don't want them in the firing line, and just as well we have all our equipment on our wagons, so I think we'll be fine. Let's go ahead and start dropping out some of our explosive crates and our dynamite. I initially was also thinking that we might have the opportunity of going in silently, right? I don't know if that's something we want to do, especially after we've packed all of these explosives. We have 15 large explosive crates, so I mean, we could go silently, but that would make all our prep work kind of boring. But as you can see, these doors would have to be forced open. I don't know if they'd hear us coming through those doors by doing that, but if they did, and they're right here, or worse, they even come to their own Gatling cannons or Gatling guns, we would be in absolute shit shape. So I don't think that's something I'm interested in. However, I am much more interested in putting these near the cannons, or their guns I should say, and blowing them up so that they can't use them. However, along with that, I'm also thinking we set some of these explosives up right against the wall here. We blow a great big hole in the wall and we absolutely turn them to mush. I think that's what we should do. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead. We'll start getting these moving moved down this way, placed up against this, and then down here, we're also going to set up our cannons with our grape shot. That way, if they start pouring out, which they should, we'll be able to hit them quite easily. We need to do this, though, silently, or at least as silent as possible. That way, they don't come outside and attack us. I think if we stay on this side, we destroy these two Gatling guns, they won't have any more that they can use. I assume they won't move these and come out this way because they'll be in too much of a panic. And if that is indeed the case, we'll be a-okay. But now with some of these here, I'm going to start placing more here, and with these explosives in this area, we'll be able to blow them up, and as they... Come on, Slick, be careful there, getting a little too close. As they funnel out, we'll be able to detonate our own explosives, hopefully killing a lot of them. That's the idea. That's the idea. I don't want to use the explosives, though, if they're going to blow all of them up at once, you know what I mean? I'm kind of nervous about that. I don't want that happening, because that would kind of ruin our plans. We've got a lot of explosives up here, plenty for us to use. So, I think we've almost got enough of them set up. We have to make sure that we stay very far away, too, when this happens. Otherwise, it's going to be very bad. It's going to take some time to cut. Let's also get our own Gatling turret here. Where do we want to do this? There's not a lot of cover. I guess, I don't know. Maybe right behind this tree? And we should also have our cannons somewhere. All right, we'll move our cannons up this way along with the Gatling turret, and we're also going to put a great big stockpile right here for our grape shot. Perfect, 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 perfect. Let's get that hauled. We have Molotov cocktails. I'm gonna start giving everybody a little bit of dynamite. Yes, equip the dynamite. At least a piece or two. We want to have a little bit at the very least. They still haven't the slightest clue that we're here, and we need to continue keeping it that way. We're doing pretty good so far. I'm just extremely nervous they're going to find us. Do we see, by the way? I don't know if Mees is here. The information we got from our tribal allies did state that they thought she was here, but I'm not seeing her. If not, we will find her, but I don't see her just yet. Are we ready? We almost have all our explosives in place. I think we're basically ready. Let's get Gao over here. I'm gonna put Slick on the cannon with the grape shot. I'll put Fleeb on the Gatling gun. It is now morning time, by the way. Our preparations for the attack have taken all night, but I think it is going to be well worth it. The snow is starting to clear up a bit too, I noticed, so that's going to be great for us being able to see them. Let's get this party started. Okay, we've got Isla and Valentine in position with dynamite. I'm gonna go ahead and set them to throw a stick of dynamite each, and immediately we're going to pull them back. Let's hope that that's going to be enough to blow these walls. I don't know if it will be. Oh, Christ. Well, apparently that wasn't enough, but we got pretty close. I'm gonna say they know we're here now, but thankfully we did end up destroying their Gatling guns, so they shouldn't be able to use those against us. Although that does also mean now they're not going to rush out to fight us, as they are going to try to stay within their walls, away from our explosives. And I think we're now going to have to come into them. Okay, right? Okay, whatever. That's fine. Let's get the cannons put back into position before they change their mind and actually start coming this way, as well as the Gatling gun. We might have to bring these inside. I don't know yet. I will put our grape shot back down here. Damn it. I was really hoping that that would work on first try, but oh, second time's the charm, as they say. Okay. No, we don't want that right next to us. Man the cannons. And before you man the Gatling gun, let's go ahead and get Slick. Oh, shit. Here they come. Great. Oh, shit. We should have known. Okay, I'm still going to hit the... Damn it, no. They're already coming out. Slick, man the Gatling gun. We're gonna start killing them. I'm gonna have one of you hold fire. We don't need that much coming. Okay. Open fire. So it looks like they are being a little bit brave. Some of them, it would seem, are coming out to fight us. Oh, even more. Let's chuck dynamite if we can. Hurry up. Valentine is going to chuck dynamite at the wall. We're killing a few of them. I hope that... Yeah, alright. We lit the dynamite. The wall is about to go. Goodbye, little Pinkertons. Oh my god. Open fire! We just barely put some holes through that. Oh, That was a good shot with the cannon. Oh god. Alright, they're taking cover though. We are completely out of ammo for our Gatling gun, so we need to move. Perhaps this way a bit. Move Gal. Everybody start moving. Slick, move along with them. I'm going to toss some dynamite with Valentine right there. Adios, dogs. Adios, everyone. Let me prep for these dogs coming out on us. Oh, that's a sick thing to laugh about, but we got their asses pretty good. Mees! Mees! So good to see you, Mees. Oh, ever so good to see you. All right, here we go. Oh, Mees. I'm actually, well, hold on. Let's wait just a second here. I'm going to grab Mees, but I want to blast some more of these bastards first. Reload, reload. Careful, careful. All right, open fire. Yep. All right, now while they're down, grab, capture, Mees. You don't have to leave the area, but grab her ass and get out of here. I'm actually gonna have Gal start forcing these doors open, and we're gonna try to come in from the side and flank them as well, I think. I don't think we've been loading the proper grape shot into the one cannon. That's all right, though. Everyone's fine. Golf has been hit. Oh, he's got a bruise on his torso. Thank God for those bulletproof vests. Hello there. Oh my god. Okay. How many Pinkertons are left? Looks like we've got probably about 7 of them still on their feet. Come on, Gal. Burst open the damn door, brother. Come on. Valentine finally has Mees here. We're gonna start tending to her. I don't want her dying out here. No, we want her to be taken back where we can actually... We have a shit medical skill, though. She's gonna die in 5 hours. We'll come down here ourselves, and Valentine can actually swap us out. We want to ensure that Mees does not die here during the battle, as she must come back to Rattlesnake Ranch to face justice. It looks like many of the Pinkertons have passed out due to exhaustion. Oh, a grim battle indeed. We should be quite careful though, as this could still be some type of Trojan horse. Before we just start blindly opening fire on them, don't fire yet. We've got Gao with his dynamite. What if we just toss a little something right here? And we'll throw another one right there. Oh, okay. I think, Oh, son of a bitch. Oh, I shouldn't have brought him out in the open to blow Marco up. Oh, Gao, we got a little too rambunctious. We got a little too rambunctious there. Oh, Gao, you... I'm sorry, Gao. Good heavens. All right, prep yourselves, prep yourselves. Oh, we must continue fighting. Even with Gao dead, there's no time to mourn, obviously. Okay, all right, here we go. Whew, a little dynamite to solve that problem. Everyone reload. There's more of them coming. Here we go. Blast them, blast them. We led them straight into a slaughter. Oh, there you went. Okay, it looks like we've probably finished them all off. I'm gonna start going into these buildings. Yes. Let's go ahead and start exploring, though, as we take care of the last of the Pinkertons. Oh, that's a shame. That's even more of a shame. We've got inside here... Oh, one of them is asleep in their bed. Oh, not anymore, they're not. Okay. There we go. Ow. Let's finish the job. They don't really have much of anything around here, though. Some beds. They have some food we could take back with us. Of course we can take Mees. I'll also take this mounted elk head, I think. What? Oh. Oh, no. The poor tribes people of Overhaul. Awful. These Pinkertons are awful. Dirty outpost. We'll burn it to the ground before we leave. It looks like Mees is ready to go back home to face the justice of the Free State of Dale. And with that, my friends, it is time that we end this little excursion. Our poor Gao. I still feel awful about that, but in the heat of a fight like that, it's so hard not to have some type of casualty, though I will take the blame for it. Truly, I will. I do think it was avoidable, and that's my fault. I'm sorry, old friend. Really, I am. But I suppose at least you know that we are getting justice for our poor, sweet Dale. And we'll be getting it for you as well. Till we meet again, my friend. Let us burn all of this shit down. And let us be done with these Pinkertons. I kind of forgot about the food in here. I better get that first. But we're gonna start a great big bonfire. And and we are going to be heading all the way back home. And so begins our long journey back towards the south and ultimately back to Rattlesnake Ranch, where our townsfolk and coal miners were working hard day in and day out, completely oblivious to the heroics just performed by the sheriff and her deputies. However, everything wasn't peaches and cream for long. It would seem that we have a raid from the Splinter faction of our allies at the Free Tribe of Abruzzo. One of their members, Archer Banzo, just so happened to be the aunt of our coal miner Smarty. However, before we could even begin attempting to prep for the attack, it would seem that there's something of a tribal civil war happening. Because as the raid was coming for us, we also ended up getting a war merchant from the main loyalist of their tribe. Needless to say, these two groups of tribespeople were none too happy to find one another here, and a great big tide of crimson blood began to flow across the outskirts of our region. With what seems to be a defeat of our allies, our enemies were continuing to come to our fortified walls, where we would quickly man our cannons and fire through our embrasures, finishing off what was left of them, causing them to flee like the cowards that they were. This was a very grotesque display of brutality between the two factions. Unfortunately, many of our allies were injured. We would rush out and begin tending to a few folks that we had planned on taking prisoner, but of course we would also use a lot of our coal miners, even those with very poor medical skills, to begin tending to our allies so that we might attempt to rescue them and maybe keep them alive. It's a long shot, but it's worth trying. As we waited through the aftermath of the chaos of warfare, one thing was for sure. This war was coming to our doorstep. This may not be our war, but we will have to fight. By this point, we had rescued many an ally and brought them into our homes, giving them our own beds and attempting to tend to them before they bled to death in them. Some had already not made it, and for others that were no longer bleeding, I suppose we'll have to see if infection takes them. We had also managed to capture Wasp and Alligator, a couple of the enemy tribespeople with decent skills who might be able to be reformed into good and honest citizens of Rattlesnake Ranch. Only time will tell. But alas, I'm afraid their friend and Smarty's aunt wouldn't make it. Banzo was shot clean through the gullet. The death was swift and humane, Smarty. I'm sorry for your loss, but at least you know she didn't suffer. Now, given the fact that Banzo here was Smarty's aunt, of course we would allow her to bury her aunt in our very own graveyard next to some of the Pinkertons that had accompanied Mees originally. We're not monsters after all. But as our people are recuperating emotionally and physically from the fight, and our sheriff and her deputies are making their way back home, perhaps I could interest you in some wonderful artwork by, you know 'em, you love 'em, Ken King. Now, I meant to show these off last episode, but unfortunately I kind of sort of forgot, so better late than never, I apologize. First up here we actually have something of what I'd consider a memorial to Dale after his passing, with him brandishing his little hat, and it's the most precious thing I've ever seen, and I think it really kind of encompasses Dale's personality. Truthfully, at least in my opinion, I always saw Dale as more of the old-timer with more of a gentle, laid-back nature, for a sheriff at least. Maybe that's just my perception, but that's kind of how I always saw him. And up next here, we also have the fight between Isla and Slick after she and Dale broke up and had a bit of a spat, and she started insulting Isla, and Isla beat the absolute shit out of her, as we know. Again, a massive thank you to King King as always for bringing our characters to life through your artwork and allowing me to share them with our wonderful community. Be sure to check out Ken King on Twitter at KenTheKingArt, and they also have commissions open, I believe, at this time, and you can always go to them for all your art needs. And of course, if you'd like to send me any fan art like this to be featured in videos, feel free to email me. It's in my YouTube bio, I think, or you can just DM me on Twitter. Now then, it would seem that our heroic sheriff and her heroic deputies have finally returned home. Though it was clear watching them from our fortified walls that not everyone had made it out alive. As they brought the wagons back inside, slamming the gates behind them and beginning to unload them, a sickening disdain was felt amongst everyone against Mees, but an open wound for our poor Gao, a true hero who had set out with us to avenge his close friend. The first two founding members, he and Dale, now lie together. Rest well, our friends. You've earned it. Finally, you are at peace. After being buried, Gao was then given a proper funeral at which the mayor himself would say some kind words, and we would all gather around. It all turned out to be quite heartwarming. Later on into the evening, continuing our mourning, but also something of a celebration of life, and also a celebration of capturing Mees the criminal, we all went to the church to have a bit of a gathering. Our church, which we will be naming Our Lady of Fortitude Church, after a great suggestion from our friend Princess Pizza Bones. This name for the church is actually in dedication to our poor sweet Jane, who we lost last episode in a skirmish against the tribespeople. We would also be sure to add this name onto the signs, that way everyone knows the actual name of the church, of course. We also have a good suggestion from our friend Dark Creeper 675, who was saying that maybe rattlesnakes could be our town's ideological symbol of change. And I like that, and I like having that featured on the church doors. Perhaps the idea being that once you come into our community and you form over to our ideology, you're changed, right? Like a snake shedding its skin, you are reborn. And now that we have a functioning ideology, we can actually start giving people proper roles that will play a part in combat, like Isla getting the role of sheriff. Armando already has the role as leader, but we've swapped that over to mayor as well. Huge thanks to the Gentleman 8 for this suggestion. Last but not least, we also have a name for our masonry building from our friend Crazy JK87, with that being a chip off the old block. A play on, but also basically a literal description of how we're obtaining these stone chunks and turning them into blocks. And of course, once again, we would put this on the appropriate signs. Now that we've gotten things a bit tidied up around the town and everybody's feeling a little bit better, I suppose the only question now is, what do we do with Mees? I think we already know.